Hey everybody, I want to Wisdom here. It is about 4 a.m. Sunday, March 16th. Just introduced in part 62. Scratch. Hadn't done an introduction in a long time. Kind of had to get back in the swing of things. Very, very promising looking character. What we're going to do now is introduce her Wave 4 Newlander counterpart. That, of course, being the Fire Element's own Fryno. What I'll do now, kind of a neat feature. Again, I guess if you're a purist of Skylanders, you can actually pull the character on the pause screen. So, took Scratch off. We're going to put Fryno on here. Again, sadly, if you wonder why you don't see like the +1 fire element or something come up, it's for the simple fact my nephew and I found these guys in an epic hunt, unboxed them, and then we just went to town. We just kind of threw them head to head. So sadly, you won't see like the accolades or anything like that. But minor deal. And if you really care about that or wonder how I got to where I am in terms of the accolades, collections, etc., go check out our Scratch versus Fryno video, and you can kind of see it there in the bottom. That said, I guess we do need to back out of here. Get to see his introduction.
Crash and burn!
Alright, he is level 1 still, so that'll actually be somewhat helpful. Again, Scratch slightly higher, just because my nephew won the attacks with him. Let's see here. Let's just go ahead and kind of follow the same format as last time. Then we'll come do the fun stuff here. What we want to do is go to collection. We want to come over to Spyro's head. How did we get to here? Okay. Fire. There it is. 18 fire element Skylanders now, with the addition of Fryno. We at least know that much. 147 overall, if you missed that last time. Gonna come in here, and there he is, bottom row, right here with his fellow Newlanders and Swappers. Slogan, as you can see, is Crash and Burn. Let's take a look at his biography. Fairly interesting one. Alright, very cool artwork there. That bike looks awesome with the magma wheels there. Kind of got a crazy look on his face, but I suppose that's acceptable. Crash and Burn. Fryno was once a member of the notorious Blazing Biker Brigade and spent most of his youth riding around Skylands with the rest of his crew. But what Fryno did not realize was that while he enjoyed a life of freedom and adventure, his crew was responsible for acts of burglary throughout Skylands. When Fryno discovered that he had been riding around with a bunch of villains, he burned with rage and demanded that they make amends for the wrongs they had done. This resulted in an epic fight which Fryno won in the disbanding of the Blazing Biker Brigade. Again, that is a tongue twister. Fryno was in the midst of returning the valuables his crew had stolen when he met Master Eon, who was impressed with his good character and fighting abilities and offered him a membership to a new crew, which is, of course, the Skylanders, who go about Skylands performing good deeds and ridding Skylands of chaos and the darkness. So, main thing I enjoy here is just that wheel. Very nicely done on that. Let's go ahead, back out of here, back out of there, back out of here. Come in to Skylander, take a look at stats.
I'm no small fry.
Sadly, there is a charm. I think critical hit is the only thing impacted. So this is fairly accurate box stock. Max health 300. That's actually pretty good. Speed 43, not quite up to what we saw with Scratch at 50. Armor is 6. Critical hit box stock is 4. I think I have that charm for +1. Elemental power box stock 23. With all the others, we're +63 at 88. So we'll back out of here. We want to take a look at those upgrades now. Primary attack. It is called Brawl. You're going to press Y to punch nearby enemies. Speed and damage of punches is increased depending on heat. We'll kind of have to learn about that, I guess. Secondary attack is called Heated. Okay, that makes sense. I wish I would have known this before I battled my nephew. I still think Scratch would probably take him in terms of box stock, at least. But this would have been nice to know. Again, reading is your friend. But heated, press A repeatedly to smash the ground and increase heat level. I had wondered why he was. I mean, you could see it in his face when I did it. It was just like an inefficient attack to attempt to contend with Scratch. So kind of relied on the primary. But now that makes a lot of sense. So it's one of those deals you're going to want to heat up if possible and then use your primary attack. Speaking of that, first purchased upgrade is the Horn and the Hog. This is his tertiary attack. Looks pretty awesome. Press X to dash forward, dealing damage to enemies in the way. When heated, which is again going to be your A button, Fryno jumps on a motorcycle to deal damage to nearby enemies. Okay, so I'm thinking, like, say that I buy this and we just walk out of the power pod. From what I understand here, I press the X button and he's just going to charge forward, maybe like, typical, rhinoceros video game fashion. But if I was heated up prior to that, again tapping the A button in this case of the Wii U, apparently he would hop on a motorcycle. So again, big benefit to being heated. Second purchase upgrade, Built Tough. Health is increased. That's weird. Seems like that should be armor. I mean, health is going to increase when you get to level 20. I don't know if it's really health and it's intended to offset because he's like kind of slow or has to charge up or something, or if it's really armor, because Built Tough you would think would apply to armor, not health. Don't know. That's somewhat odd, but I mean, if it was increased health while pounding, okay, that's still a weird name for it, but I'm not quite sure what the logic was there. I guess we'll have to get it and find out. Third one, base upgrades that is called Fired Up. Press A repeatedly to throw a tantrum and become heated. Tantrums now have increased range and damage. Final purchase upgrade is Molten Fury. All attacks do increase damage when heated, so nice little touch-all there. Still not quite sure what is up with Built Tough. It's kind of a strange thing. Two paths here. You've got top path is going to be Brawler. Again, think along the lines Slam Bam Tariff in your close quarter combat guys. And then Fryno's Hotshot path is the bottom one. Reminiscent somewhat of Hothead. Looks like he's going to basically build up a bike and then it looks like dismount and throw it at him. So that's kind of a unique deal. Anyway, if you take Brawler, it starts out with Hot Hands. Hold Y to rapidly punch nearby enemies and release heat. Next up is Spiked Up. New metal gloves cause Hot Hands to do increased damage. That's not only nice, but it looks really cool. Final is Temperature Tantrum. Nearby enemies take damage while Fryno is heated. If you wind up using his charge ability quite a bit, which is, the A button secondary attack to heat up, that would probably be the path to take. I think it would wind up being the most beneficial. Now, coming down here, I think it was called Fryno's Hotshot path. The Horn and the Hog will always summon a Molten Motorcycle. If you find out, as you've done his base upgrades, that you really like that, or maybe you need it to combat, maybe, tougher enemies, or the spell punks or something with good range, particularly like PvP people. If you were up against something like a, I don't know, Camo or Hex, you might want to go this route. But I'm assuming that would be much more beneficial and probably quicker than a standard Rhinoceros charge. Next up is Hot Rod. All attacks with the motorcycle do increase damage. That's a nice nod. And next up is Crash and Burn. Fryno throws the motorcycle at the end of a dash, causing a massive explosion that damages nearby enemies. Who's paying for that? Obviously the enemy is paying for that if you want to be technical. Anyway, his soul gem, hopefully it's a good one, is called Madness Maxed. Press A rapidly to make Fryno even more heated. So angry. This is stuff that I'm honestly so much relies on, like charging, through the A button attack, and then, Built Tough. I have no clue what the logic was there. I don't know. I'm honestly going to have to buy both paths and then kind of see how they stack up. But lots of questions in terms of what are these really going to do, how well will they be able to be executed. But I don't know. When I think of a Rhinoceros, I've got a certain image in my... I actually think of the Resnors from, Super Mario World. But that's, again, my favorite game ever. But I think of armor when I think of a Rhino. I think of, like, tough hide. That's why, like, you got Rhino liner. It's tough. It's like the bed liner that you want because, rhinos are tough. And I don't think of health, I think of like armored and toughness, defense capabilities, not gaining health. But I don't know, maybe it'll turn out to be awesome, maybe it's a typo, who knows, but we'll find out. Quest, let's try to get off that. First 6 of these pretty much generic. Defeat 1,000 enemies, eat 15 pieces of fruit, win 10 PvP. That didn't happen because I battled Scratch, my nephew had. Non-story mode, full health. Reach level 20 fully maxed out. Again, that's probably something you will want to do with Fryno, just to sort of investigate him. Elementalist, 7,500 elemental bonus damage. Now, fire specific, Mega Melter. Defeat a total of 25 ice golems. That's something you actually have to think about and prepare for. Bombardier. Defeat a total of 30 enemies with bombs. Only issue there, very few bombs in the actual game. Probably going to be something you'll want to do in, like external missions or something. Soul Gem. I'm sorry, not the soul. What am I thinking? Personal quest is what I was trying to say. This is the big one. It is specific to Fryno. It's called Frequent Fryer. Deliver a total of 100 heat imbued blows against enemies. So I'm assuming again that ties in with a secondary attack, which is getting heated up. So probably won't be too terribly hard to get to that, particularly if you charge up and then take out multiple enemies at a time. That said, let's get out of there and go to the good stuff. We're going to back out of here. What was it called? I think it was just Brawl, wasn't it? His primary attack. He's kind of got a funky gait when he walks. I guess it's almost like a rhinoceros. It's just kind of thrown off a little bit, since his front feet are, hands shaped in fists. Nice jump mechanic. He's a little more gray than I thought. I think the figure must have like a full leather jacket on or something. Anyway, primary attack, pretty impressive. It's going to deal 26. There's a 39 in there. That's probably going to be a critical number. So, pretty solid, fairly quick. You think of a rhinoceros, I think of armor, but I also think of kind of like slow, plodding, cumbersome type speed. He's fairly nimble. I mean, he's kind of got that funky gait. It's almost looking like a limp. But he's, like I said, fairly agile there. 26-39 on the primary. Secondary attack, which is called Heated. Let me position him far away from the dummies. Okay. As you do that, you see him kind of charge up. Let's walk over here while he's heated. 30. I was hoping I'd get a critical number. Let's see if I get the case. I think he's still charged, actually. Yeah, because he's still doing the 30. There's some 45s. Let's see how long that lasts. The good news is, I mean, if that's what you have to do to charge, that's not too bad. I mean, obviously, you won't have a lot of situations like that in the game. But in terms of, you coming down a hill, like say we were headed this way, you could obviously tell when you see a monster gate, okay, I'm about to reach an area. Just went out right there. But you would know by monster gates when there's going to be a lot of enemies, then you could just kind of pound right outside that area before you enter and go about it that way. But let's just tap one time. So it looks like 4 hits. I was going to go ahead and charge him up. That was really good range on that first hit. I just kind of wanted to see how long it. Okay, so that was about the duration for the quickest charge you could do, which is again looks like 4 hits. Now, what I'll do now is come right up to the enchanted dummy. We're gonna press A and see what it does. So 18. Let's see as we heat up here. It's gonna change. I guess later on, when all heated attacks do more damage, that might turn out to be. That's really not bad damage, in all honesty. For being close quarters. Obviously, it's not as impressive, but it could be something really low, like a 6 or an 8, which would be horrible. You've seen several 27s there, so that must be a critical number. But a charge like that should last a ridiculous amount of time. When we're doing the 30 damage, you'll see the 45s from time to time. You can cycle in what might be good if you're in close quarters with like a really tough enemy. You could actually, go primary, and then as you're circling, just maybe once or twice, you could pound the ground and maybe, increase that duration and take advantage of the extra damage. Looks really cool when he is heated up. The horn, you can see there, that's a pretty good angle of it. It's glowing hot. Same with the hands, there they are from the backside. I think they'd show up a little bit better if he was like blacked out like in the picture. He got massive air off those mushrooms. It's kind of cool. Let's try to get a front angle on the jump for it. Well, if we could land on the mushroom. There we go. He's a pretty cool character. I'm still not quite sure about Built Tough. I was really starting to get worried about him as I read through those upgrades. I wasn't sure how things were going to pan out. Again, because so much relies on the charge attack. But, so that was 3 hits, even staggered out, and he got charged up. So, stand corrected. We'll just say 3 hits in a relatively, quick succession. We'll go ahead and get him heated up. So, still, it's one of those deals I'm going to have to get the upgrades and actually see how they all pan out together. Like I said, I was really kind of worried about how he might turn out to be. I think he should be just fine. That's the good news there. My only real issue now is about Built Tough. We'll have to see what that does to the health. So that's what's going to be cool. I'm not going to do anything with this guy before we upgrade him. He's going to stay level 1, so he's at 300, and that way we'll know exactly what that does, if it in fact does hit the health, or if we see the armor go from like 6 to 12 or 6 to 8, etc. We'll kind of have an idea of what things are capable of there. So that's it. That is pretty much it. That's Fryno. I was really looking forward to him. Again, more so than Scratch. I did say with a caveat that I thought Scratch would wind up probably being the better Skylander overall. And probably more popular too. But just breezing through there, I was really worried about Fryno as a whole, But like I said, I think now that I've kind of messed around with them, primary and secondary in the training grounds, feel pretty good. I think he'll turn out to be alright, so that's kind of like a relief. I was really starting to think, man, he is set up for failure, should appeal to a lot of people. Obviously, some parents, if you're like into the Harley scene or something, classic Harley colors, you'll probably take, Fryno's hotshot path there. But like I said, now that I've kind of played with it, and seen how the heated feature works, not a big deal. It should be just fine. Again, my only issue is going to be Built Tough. So that said, part 63 here, we have introduced Fryno, the Fire Element Newlander. He, of course, joined Smolderdash as the other Fire Element Newlander. When I say Newlander, I don't necessarily include the swappers. They are new, but to me, I just kind of try to keep Newlander to the core characters. So, the swappers, if you carry the fire elements, what do we have? Blast Zone, Dark Blast Zone, Fire Kraken, eventually Jade Fire. I had some Tim out in California ask me about, if I knew when Jade Fire Kraken was coming out. I don't know. I guess his logic was, it might be St. Patrick's Day. That actually makes sense, but probably, fairly soon, I would think. Hopefully maybe like April, May. Then again, with the Easter stuff coming, I don't know. It could wind up being later in the, maybe May or something. Who knows? Bottom line, I do not know. Nothing I said there matters because I honestly don't know. I don't have like inside information or anything crazy. I did ask, but I haven't gotten anything back there. So, it doesn't hurt to ask, and sometimes you find things out. That said, I am really, really tired. It's 4:17 in the morning now, but might try to introduce Freeze Blade and Trap Shadow. Not 100% sure if I'm capable of functioning for another like 45 minutes or so, but excited to get Scratch and Fryno upgraded. The cool thing is I've got the second Fryno as well, so I'm going to get to take both paths, showcase those to you. I do have a blog poll up right now related to upgrade paths. Characters like this where I have the double, I'm going to showcase both paths. I essentially want to know, you want me to come in first time through, I'm going to show you from box stock all the way to the soul gem in this case. Second time through, I can do the same thing. Some people might think it's redundant, having the first four, highlighted, etc., the base upgrades, if you will. I can do just the path. I can do literally pretty much anything. I'm just trying to seek feedback. The issue is it's relatively close in what people want. Some of you come to my channel because you want the ridiculously excessive detail. You appreciate that. You want to know as much as you can, and it's more convenient to have it all in one video. Some of you just assume, hey, if you do that, take Brawler Path and you showcase those first four in really good detail, save yourself some time, save us some time, just make a standalone video for the second path. Some people probably don't have a preference, they just want things to be uniform. And the problem there is that can go either way. So I've got that up. It's kind of a confusing poll, but I have it outlined on the blog for you. Be sure to cast your vote there. Let me know how you want to see these upgrades done. I'm actually going to come in and do these newer characters before I do some of the older ones I haven't recorded. So case in point, you're going to see Scratch and Fryno before I do like Mega Ram, Spyro, or Ninja Stealth. So really big draw with those Series 3 characters. Some of the Series 2s is of course the Wow Pal. So that said, Fryno, I think he's going to turn out to be alright. Should be a very... He's a character not going to be probably as wide of a popularity base, but I think those people that he catches on with will probably be very devoted to him. So kind of one of those type situations there. But I think he's a nice addition to the fire element. He didn't really have anything of that nature, and it makes sense. I could see a rhinoceros, and the fire, element going together well. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Like I said, my apologies, I'm really tired. That poll I mentioned you can find on the blog, as well as tons of Skylanders information. OneOfWeasem.com. You can follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, circle me on Google+, whichever you prefer. Again, thanks for watching, and I will catch you people back here, I guess, for part 64, where we introduce Freezeblade.